Hello YouTube, it is SWGoH's #1 Vance fan here, Mr. McClunky, back for another roster review. Today's request is from Ourhomegone. They have requested for me to quote, evaluate if there is anything I'm doing wrong or need to do. Also, no lickles or onions. I am going to assume that you make pickles, but we are operating under McDonald's rules at the channel. So your review is going to come out however the underpaid guy in the back decides to make it. In this case, that's me, so I'm sorry in advance. We do, however, have a few requests, halal and kosher, as well as just being picky, and a special request for a British accent. I am worse at a British accent than I am at my southern one, but I will attempt it, though I make no promises. I am seeing that you are in the top 100 for fleets with a 5-star endurance. Honestly, that's not bad for an early shard. I am also seeing that we are just shy of 1 million GP. No relics yet, but I'm seeing a lot of investment on some pretty solid tunes. It says here that you are still working on cup, so I'm going to go and see. No cup. I can see why an early player wouldn't focus them first. I'm going to go ahead and sort by potency, if I can remember how to do that. It's been a while since we've done a roster review. I am seeing pretty solid tunes up at the top, so that's not bad. I'm going to take a break from our usual format, seeing here this high investment Wampa at 2 stars, and just see if you've got the Wampa Cron. And you do. That is a pretty solid investment for this early game. I bet that's kicking ass, even at this low star. You said as well, no Jedi Training Ray. Again, not necessarily the time for that, but let me just go and take a quick peek. Yeah, not quite there yet. In terms of current farms, I asked what you were working on, be honest, and you had said long term working towards gas. I did see a lot of Galactic Republic investment, so that does make sense there. I saw as well farming for Jedi Knight Revan, getting Jedi together, as well as a CLS team. So I do think that that is a solid spot to look for. I typically take a rewards based approach to farming, especially in those early farms. So, to paraphrase the late Tom Lair, in one word, he told me the secret to success in SWGoH: plagiarize. Let no one else's work evade your eyes. Only be sure, please, to always call it research. So I am influenced most by Captain Amazing's Hierarchy of Needs. This is, I believe, about 1 year out of date at this point, but I think he has a lot of very solid concepts that I'll go over in just a minute. Other one that I do usually look at is Arnold. I think this is the 2025 most updated version of his farming guide for free to play. So I do also usually like to look at what are some of the teams, what are some of the branches, how do we go ahead and make more progress. So I think one of the things I like to do is take into account resources. So the primary thing that we're looking to do is get resources. So over here, he labels this as kind of guild income. I do somewhat disagree with this in my mind. I know a lot of the farming advice has gone away from early core teams, but I do think having early core teams can help quite a bit with some of these early phases of the game. So just the general progression of being able to clear all of the light side and dark side battles, being able to 3-star so you can sim certain events, being able to get some assault battles and early journey guide unlocks, I think is very important. He has assault battles a lot later in the hierarchy of needs in the pyramid here. I usually like to start working on those a little bit earlier. So I do usually go to kind of Arnold's list here. So he has this Veers Trooper team, just a very early basic version of this team. And as well, he does have kind of the Krex Phoenix team. I think those are two of the very early teams that I like to work on. Having one good dark side team and one good light side team can get you pretty far in the game. Imperial Troopers, I like them a lot because they can do Rebel Roundup and Forest Moon. With enough investment, you can do them at Challenge Tier 3. This also will get you R2D2, which feeds into CLS a little bit later. Looking at the Krex, uh, Krex Phoenix team, it's a solid team for the light side missions, and as well, they funnel into military might, and they can do up to challenge tier 1 of Secrets and Shadows. So that is also a pretty solid investment if you take them up to a high enough gear. This team, from the looks of it, is one that would do pretty well. I know sometimes people will substitute in Sabine, and Ezra gets kind of left behind. So that just depends on where you're at. One of the other early core teams that I look at is CLS, and CLS does do well at kind of all points in the game. So it's definitely a good team to have for GAC and things like that. I do also usually recommend, and it's less of a specific team for each of these, but having one Sith team, especially if you are able to get Treya and Savage Omicron, will do you well. That gets you places of power as an assault battle. And then as well, Qui-Gon Jinn as a lead for a GAC team. And with that as well, it does also give you the potential, not sure where it is on Arnold's team here, but to unlock Grandmaster Yoda, who can be useful in some of these other teams here. So really, just however you want to approach it. Do you recommend having an Imperial Troopers team, a Krex Rebel team, CLS, and then one Sith and one Jedi team? Those 5 teams can get you a lot of work done. After that, I do usually like to think about the raid. And so, obviously, the ideal is to get into a guild that's running the current raid, which would be Order 66. So, for that, you would want to see Tarkin, Nest, and Hondo. All 3 of them can solo the raid. So, having access to those 3, even at like a gear 12 sort of investment, can help to get you a place where you can earn um, start getting closer and closer to getting 1,000,000 points. Because the more people that invest in that raid, the more rewards a guild can get. If you aren't able to get into a guild that's running the most current raid, I would recommend taking a look at the Heroic Sith raid. Typically, the other new raids after Heroic Sith, the rewards aren't good enough, missing that Mark III that you would get from the most recent raid, and as well, not having a specific tune that is associated with them, you would be missing out. So, Heroic Sith, if you don't have the resources to get into that Order 66 raid, you can use your whole squad, no matter what faction they are, in the Heroic Sith, so that might be a better fit. Next, in terms of territory wars and territory battle, typically you just, at the lower ranks, just want to follow your guild's orders, do your best, give it your best shot. Don't spam junk defense, don't forget to attack, don't over deploy, and you ought to be fine. I will say dedicated guild farms come up later in the game, but not at this point yet. So for the new assault battles, so for Pretty Patrol and Duel of Fates, I do recommend at least unlocking the tunes for those fights. And I believe the new update makes it a little bit easier to do that initial unlock. And basically, you want to take them to minimal gear investment so that you're able to 3-star or at least complete that first tier because that's free shards. And then you get more free shards once they get up to level 5. I don't recommend for new accounts to farm these right away, but I do think they are a good investment early game, at least to get the free shards. After you've got kind of your basic resources settled, next thing you want to do is get your daily crystal income in place. So that is Fleet Arena, which is the main source. So you are going to want to get your starter ships going. I typically gravitate again on Arnold's towards this sort of lineup. You want to take Tarkin and get him 7-star, and then you're going to want to take a focus on your Empire ships and kind of your basic Bounty Hunter lineup. Basic Bounty Hunter lineup does give you access to the Millennium Falcon, Han's Millennium Falcon. But more importantly, it is all of these are required to get the Executor, which the Executor will carry you the rest of the game. So I do recommend an Executor rush. So you work on that core team of Tarkin and the Empire with bounty hunters as your main team. Work on slowly gearing and eventually relicking these toons, and then as well, most importantly, BAM and the Razor Crest are going to be what you want to focus on. If you are able eventually to get some of those shards from Proving Grounds, but that's going to take quite a while. So what you want to do is spend all of your early Fleet Arena currency. You want to invest it all into Razor Crest. And as well, just Gear 10 unlocks BAM. All you need to do is unlock BAM and then work on that ship. So first priority always is investing that fleet arena currency into the Razor Crest. Once you get the Executor unlocked, or at least the requirements to start working on the unlock, you're also going to want to focus on punishing one in Mark 6. They are not necessary in the beginning if you do rush Executor, but they do become more and more important as the game goes on. Next source of daily crystal income is GEC. So if you do have those core teams that I mentioned earlier, you'll probably do quite well with just your initial basic setup. Add to that as well some of these bounty hunters and some of the other teams that you meet along the way, and I reckon you'll be able to do pretty well in those early stages. Start getting some passive crystals from GEC. As well, you are probably going to want to focus on your first GL. I typically do recommend going for Jabba first, just because there is a lot of overlap between the Jabba as well as the Executor, and then later some overlap as well with JML, and then as well with Leia. So that is typically my main focus is, hey, let's get Jabba as the first one, because he does unlock Smuggler's Run 2, which will help with mods. And then as well, his farm rolls into those other two. So can be a pretty good place to start. And as well, kind of keeping in mind some of these other things. I arrange these a little bit differently than Captain Amazing does, but I do think he has a lot of information that could help us. So guilds, very important. Crystal income, essential. Your first GL slash fleet, he did have these for the light side bundles. I do think it's probably better to have Jabba on this tier, and then as well Executor, since the release of the Punishing one, the profundity has gone down quite a bit in value. Assault battles, I think they are more important than he gives credit to. There's a lot of very valuable resources, especially as you're working on farming other things. You can kind of roll a lot of these things. So, like whether it's guild currency, whether it's event tokens, whether it's the resources from assault battles or the crystals, you want to work on farms that you can roll into the next farm and just keep going and going and going, while in keeping in mind these passion projects like the Wookiees or like Gas, like you mentioned earlier, being able to have those teams up at the top that you're kind of striving for, but it's a lot of these other things that are fundamental down at the bottom that inform things. So I like the mindset of a hierarchy of needs, and I like some of the progression from Arnold. So I usually kind of combine the two together and use that to inform kind of what I'm looking like. Even right now for my roster, I'm working on a lot of my guild farms, getting my characters ready for the raid, getting my characters ready for different special missions in Rise of the Empire. Just being able to have some of those things to help us out. So going back to your roster, let's go ahead and take a look at fleets here. So I said, do you hate fleets? And you said yes. I said, are you sure? And you said yes. So taking a look at things here, I'm seeing you are very early in the stages of fleets, and I can see why this would be a massive pain. So I will say, once you finish Executor, this is going to be a lot nicer. So taking a look at mods as well. Do you have mods? Maybe. And again, Jobble will help with that once you get him online. Just taking a look at kind of a few tunes here. Oh, let me fix this. Come on. I can't just click through. But yeah, just kind of cherry picking. It looks like you do have a few mods. But yeah, mods are going to be more and more important the further you get into the game. So, in conclusion, I can see what you're working on. I think taking some time to invest in some of these resource-based farms will serve you well. Oh, I almost forgot. We were talking about the current farms, and I got kind of sidetracked and went on a tangent. I never went back and said, what do you wish you were working on? And you did say the Wookiee team. So, like I had said earlier, that Wookiee team, as well as the gas team, do seem like those passion type projects, things that you're working towards. And as well, that Wookiee team does have some overlap with the CLS team, so I think you will be in the right spot if you keep going with that. And then, what are you working on? Be dishonest. You said my mental health. And I'm going to tell you the same thing that I told Egnads. I can't help you with that. You're going to have to sort that out on your own, mate. So yeah, back to the conclusion. Reckon your roster's in a very great spot for an early game roster. It looks like you did hit level 85, so you are out of the tutorial phase. I am seeing kind of some leanings of some of these core teams. I see Krex here with a Zeta applied. I am seeing Kane and Joris. I'm seeing Chopper. So I do think, General V is there, I do think you are following somewhat of this guide. I do see you have Grand Admiral Thrawn. I'm trying to see. Oh, Admiral Piet with the Zeta. That's good. I was trying to see if I see Palpatine. I don't know if I see him, but I reckon you're on the right track. And I think just need to keep going. Invest in some of those farms that invest in you. And I will see you all in the next one. Thank you. Bye.